So we're going to record this if it's okay with everybody, and we're going to get started. And as usual, actually, we like to start with a short silent practice. So if we could just go into a silent practice for about 3 minutes or so, roughly, I'm going to invite you all to make yourselves comfortable if that feels right for you and just to go into this practice. Okay, I'm just going to bring us back to the meeting. I think we managed to get Andrew there's Andrew, into the call. Great. Okay. So moving on, I want to do the Indigenous land acknowledgement, if I may. And I'm coming in from Port Hope. And so I'm going to do the one that we use and that was devised by our council at Port Hope, Ontario. Where, if you don't know where Port Hope is, we are about an hour from Toronto going east. And there was a lot of thought that was put into this land acknowledgement by our council, which is actually led by a Ukrainian mayor. The municipality of Port Hope exists on the lands of the Mississauga Anishinaabe traditional territory covered by the Williams Treaties. We honor and recognize First Peoples as rights holders and stewards of the lands and waters on which we have the privilege to live, work, and play, including the Ganaraska Forest and River. We pay respect to elders past, present, and emerging. We commit to actions towards truth and reconciliation by recognizing the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, strengthening ties with First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, especially those who make their home in Port Hope, while learning from Indigenous ways of knowing and being. We do so by recognizing the past and working towards a shared future. And I just want to say that our mayor, Alina Hankivsky, brought forward this proposed land acknowledgement after consultation with Trent University's First Peoples House of Learning, the former Alderville First Nations chief Dave Mowat, and new chief Tanya Simpson. The mayor noted that Simpson had also circulated proposed changes to other chiefs, and it was well received. So it was nice to know that a lot of thought went into the land acknowledgement. I'm just going to move on. I think all the board are present and we haven't received any regrets today. And I can confirm that we do have a quorum. We have 7 members on the board. Now, the first order is going to be number 3 on my agenda, which is the approval of May the 12th, 2025 board minutes. So our board minutes of our last board, which was on May the 12th. So for the board members who were there, could I please have someone to propose that we accept those minutes amongst our board? Kazim, thank you. A seconder, please. Paul, thank you. I see you're in your car. Okay. In favor, board members, please, if you would. Thank you. Okay. Now, next will be the approval of our tonight AGM agenda. So could I have approval of the AGM agenda? This is where, by the way, if you want to add anything to it, you may. So would somebody please from the board approve the AGM? Thank you, Isabel. Seconded by Paul. Carried, please. Thank you. All right. And approval of May the 2024 AGM minutes. Ideally, if you were there at the AGM 2024, it would be most appropriate to approve it for if you were there. So that would include, well, you know, if you were there. So, okay, Paul, thank you. Kazim, seconded. Okay, and carried. Thank you. All right, that was quick. That's great. Thank you very much. Right. And so the process tonight will be that I'll do my year's report. As you can see, we'll also get a financial report, which is very quick, and then the executive director's report will follow. If then we do appointments and reappointments of the board members. That's usually done at AGMs. And actually, we weren't all here. Kathy's just entering, and she's one of our board members. And if we are likely to have quite a bit of time before our 7 o'clock town hall meeting, so a couple of things can happen if we have sufficient time. One is we'll open it to questions from any of you who are outside of our usual meetings, or anybody actually who wants to ask anything. And secondly, we will have a short practice before we go into the town hall meeting, and also allow you, of course, to take a break should you need one. So that's the basic lineup that we would like to do. You just going to check the chat. I believe you can put things into the chat if you wish as well. All right. Is there anything I've forgotten so far, Jeremy or Sherry Lee? Okay. All right. Thanks. All right. So it's been 2 years since MCC became a not-for-profit corporation and set up its mission, vision, and values. And never have these been more relevant than in today's volatile world. Our mission, visions, and values generally need reviewing at the 2-year mark, but these are what we came up with back then. And I think as I read them out fairly slowly, you'll see how important they are to current world status. Our mission was to promote and improve access to skillfully delivered mindfulness programs and practices in all spaces for all persons living in Canada, and I would say also in Turtle Island. But we didn't add that at that time. That's something we would look at. Vision: healthier, self-aware, and self-empowered individuals living mindfully across Canada with mutual respect, increased well-being, quality of life, and happiness. Values: self-awareness and self-empowerment based on principles of inclusion, equity, diversity, accessibility, authenticity, compassion, kindness, respect, trauma-informed approaches, collaboration, and understanding. The initial email groups were put together in the late year, just before we started Neuronova Center and Incorporated. So that would be the end of 2022. And we started exploring the concept of Mindfulness Council at that time. And that group already voiced a need for many of the ideas we had for its roles, creating a more connected community, bringing attention to training and mentoring for facilitators and teachers with credentialing as a goal too, improving access for clients, and helping facilitators get started after taking their trainings. So we will hear the results from our survey committee, which has been pursuing the research on that for the last year, culminating in sharing those results in the town hall meeting following this AGM this evening. Generally, not-for-profit organizations need to prove their staying power over a period of at least 2 years before applying for grants and other funding. And so we've done so on a shoestring budget of donations, but with the help of our volunteer staff, especially Sherry Lee, who prepares our agendas, minutes, and notes of the associated committees. Heidi's trying to get in, Sherry Lee, so could you attend to Heidi for me, Heidi Bornstein? I guess that was, I've just turned that on mute. So Sherry Lee prepares our agendas, minutes, notes of associated committees, and keeps all our records on track, and helps with getting people into meetings. And our volunteer executive directors, the first one was Natanya for our first year, Natanya Mandel, and she got us on track. And then Jeremy Finkelstein, who's here tonight, they both are, took over from her for year 2, all working with a committed and growing volunteer board. We've been fortunate to attract good board members with commitment to our goals, and we're now up to 7 out of a potential 10 members, as designated by our bylaws. We looked at their location as well as skill set and diversity in secular, Eastern tradition, and Indigenous backgrounds. So, to introduce your board members as they are right now, Kazem Al-Mashat is a psychologist who has authorization from UMass and Brown University to train potential facilitators in MBSR, and whose company, Center for Mindfulness Canada, is in BC. And on the other side of the continent of Canada, the eastern shore of our huge country, is Andrew Safer, a long-time Eastern traditions trained practitioner in Newfoundland, who has provided trainings in many spaces over many years. More recently, actually, mindfulness in suicide. He's been in correctional facilities and specifically also in the workplace, and has just published a book called Mindfulness in the Workplace. He's also recently been on the radio in his local region, being interviewed about mindfulness and his endeavors in suicide. He's been quite prolific. Isabel Tremblay, if you can just put your hand up, Isabel. Forgot to do that with the others. But you're a mindfulness enthusiast in Quebec, also a francophone, working for the federal government. She is Indigenous and very committed to what we do, very enthusiastic board member. Dr. Paul Preston, if you put your hand up, Paul, he's in the car, a family physician, was facilitating mindfulness programs for those with chronic pain, running them in North Bay before the pandemic hit, and is now medical lead for several Ontario health teams in Northern Ontario. Michael Yellowbird, can you put your hand up, Michael? Thank you. An Indigenous social work professor at University of Manitoba and past dean there, and an authority, a recognized authority on mindfulness and decolonization issues in the Indigenous traditions. He was honored recently as the commencement speaker for a college in the US and for his work in that field. Kathy Ireland, where are you, Kathy? There she is, okay. From Brighton, Ontario, a yoga instructor, very into the mindfulness world as well, and from a lay perspective, working towards applying her knowledge to the health of seniors. She is the ultimate connector of professionals in encouraging collaboration and cross-fertilization in her role as Program and Business Development Manager, Spark Centre, Oshawa, Ontario, leading Eastern Ontario ecosystem development. And that position is partially, I think, indirectly government funded. So she's a great connector for us. And finally, I guess myself, I'm a physician who happened on mindfulness while I was working in the chronic pain field in the pain clinics of the Toronto teaching hospitals in around 2001, when I trained with John Kabat-Zinn and his people. And I have been running a protocol in mindfulness for those living with chronic pain for more than 20 years and was involved also in teaching the protocols. Our board advisors also reflect our mandate towards mindfulness, especially in education. Heidi Bornstein, who's just joining us at the moment, founded the charity Mindfulness Every Day in 2011, which provides our donation portal. And Shelley Murphy, and please, Shelley, if you're there she is. Shelley is in the secondary education field as a teacher and trainer of teachers and very passionate about mindfulness. And they both attend most of our board meetings and provide our early stages education advisory committee. And back in the day, Michelle Shaban who's very well known in the mindfulness world, a social worker, a huge proponent of mindfulness, and really founded some of the courses at U of T, University of Toronto School of Continuing Studies. She was one of the founding members of Mindfulness Council, and also another board advisor, Dylan Jenkins, a knowledge keeper and Indigenous authority providing his expertise federally. He's also an advisor to our organization. Now, last year, Jeremy Finkelstein, hand up, Jeremy, please. Thank you, was a board member at this time. And by the way, he's a mindfulness facilitator, a registered psychotherapist, and was working at the time with Center for Mindfulness Studies in Toronto. But they changed in around, I guess, July, August of 2024, and they've recently handed over many of their functions to Reconnect Health Services, which is a not-for-profit that provides trainings in many healthcare sectors. And at that time, Jeremy came to us and said, well, as I'm on the board, and Natanya stepping down, could I apply to be your executive director? So he stepped off the board once he had made his pitch to the board of directors, which was in the fall, and he started to work on a program of increasing his knowledge about our organization, reaching out to other organizations. He'll tell you in his executive director report shortly how he's progressed into being our executive director. Natanya moved over to working with Heidi in Mindfulness Every Day in expanding their mandate. So during our first year, 2023 to 2024, you may remember we heard a few panel discussions that we organized to look at the extent of integration of, if any, of mindfulness into various spaces. We started actually looking at Indigenous populations. That was in the fall of 2023. Then we looked at the education space. Subsequently, we looked at the clinical space, and after that, the workplace. And it was sparse at best. In fact, just like I remember palliative care in previous decades, which I was involved with when I first came to Canada, there were places where mindfulness was offered, mostly in Ontario, but there were very large expanses where it was not. Palliative care in those days, way back, was also pretty patchy and still to some extent is. But I see mindfulness as a sort of aligning with where that was in those days. The pandemic opened mindfulness up more through uptake of virtual programs. I think until the pandemic, people didn't really recognize or agree that it could be delivered through platforms like Zoom, but we had to get used to Zoom, and that helped us with uptake of the virtual programs, and that helped us to reach many more people. I was already on board because much of my work was done through telemedicine throughout Ontario, so I was kind of used to doing it through screens, but that really accelerated uptake through the pandemic. But then it also brought competition from up for other trainings. Sometimes these trainings were too sparse, they were inexpensive, um, but what we felt was that contributed worldwide to a decrease in uptake of mindfulness, both by clients and also a decrease in uptake of facilitator trainings. That has been stated at the conferences on mindfulness globally. Some organizations around the world that were founded to promote mindfulness and mindfulness standards have not flourished. And we've heard, not news, that potential facilitators of mindfulness after training were not finding fee-paying clients. So once trained, they often felt isolated with no specific path, affordable mentorship opportunities, or like-minded community to grow with and to develop their experience. Websites, which were once celebrated, were not being tended as well. Some of them were falling by the wayside. We believe, however, that mindfulness remains very important to quality of life and health, and it needs to flourish, especially as it's now being recognized as foundational for other therapies that work better once a mindfulness practice is already in place. This includes newer therapies such as pain reprocessing therapy for pain, which is an amazing therapy that can sometimes actually even cure, which we never thought possible. Another newer therapy that's gaining much ground is internal family systems and the much touted psychedelic assisted psychotherapies. In general, if you go to any programs on these, you'll hear that if the clients have a foundation in mindfulness, they do much better. It prepares them for some of these other layers. In fact, psychedelic assisted psychotherapy sort of struck a kind of note for me when I first heard about it and understood more about it, that it was like mindfulness on steroids. And I've heard that actually spoken to recently, that it speeds up the process which more naturally occurs if people are actually practicing mindfulness. So mindfulness is well placed to serve as a prequel to these new introductions and to enhance healthcare in general anyway, as well as well-being for the general public. I regard healthcare as being pretty broken at the moment, actually, and much too slow in Canada. And I think that what we've seen with mindfulness programs is that we're empowering people to navigate the healthcare system more appropriately and to understand themselves better and their own needs better. So it's, in fact, in my opinion, protective. Now, results of our survey and focus groups are in, which is something you're going to hear about in the town hall. It's quite exciting. I was looking at the offering that Vanessa has prepared for us at 7 o'clock tonight, earlier on today. And if you're staying with us, you'll hear these. And also, you can get the recording, but hopefully you'll stay with us in real time and be able to contribute. Now, these will guide our next steps, which need to be implemented very soon to ensure the health of this organization in its mission to bring skilled mindfulness access across Canada. So thank you to all here and to all who made this possible to get to where we are now. Please continue to support us, to have input so we can fulfill our mission and help those who practice it and teach it to thrive and grow across our nation and Turtle Island. Thank you. That's my address. I'm wondering, how about Jeremy, you go next with, oh, actually, you're not going next. We're going with the financial next. So let's go to the financial and then take a breath, and then maybe we can have questions to mine or yours after that. So, okay, somewhere out there, Sherry Lee, are you going to do the financial? Yes.
I guess so.
Okay, all right. Paul is our treasurer, but Paul oversees that we're doing this appropriately. So
I'm just going to bring that up.
we're just going to share a simple sheet, right?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Yeah. Okay.
And can you see that okay, Jackie?
Yes. We can.
Yeah. Okay. Do I need to zoom out a bit? I think I do. Yeah, that's probably better, right?
Yes, you can see it all on
Okay.
one sheet now. Yeah, I'll let you
Okay.
speak to that.
Perfect. Okay. So with our MCC financials and donations, this is the report from April 1st, 2024 until March 31st, 2025. The MCC bank account on April 1st, 2024 was $4,360.93. The expenses for this 2024 and 2025 financial year was a total of $1,760.19. This included keeping up with the MCC website, our legal fees, our insurance, operational expenses, as we continue in growing the organization. And this left us with the retained revenue of $2,724.05. Regarding our monthly financial statements, year ending of March 31st, 2025, each financial transaction has been reviewed, tracked, documented, filed, and brought up at the monthly board meetings that we have. The financial statements each month are printed, they are reviewed, and are in order by the accountant. The MCC's donations from April 1st, 2024 to March 31st, 2025 were at the total of $4,484.24.
Thank you, Sherry Lee. Just
Thank
wondered if
you.
there are any questions for that. Anybody have any questions about those?
I have a question.
David, hi.
How you doing?
Okay, thank you.
Good. My question is, did you have a goal set for donations? And second question is, are you only taking donations, or are you thinking about accepting memberships instead of donations, like a mindful membership, for example? So those are my two questions.
Right. Jeremy, do you want to answer that?
Sure. Hi, David. Good to see you. I mean, hear you as
Not
well.
see you.
Oh, hi, Jeremy. How you doing?
Great. Good to hear. So yeah, great questions. There was not a goal, but definitely hearing you say that, there definitely should be a goal, shouldn't there? So that's definitely into our strategic planning. We will create a goal. It's our intention in terms of what we're doing tonight, the research project that we're going to present, which is going to inform our strategic planning, which is going to inform decisions like you're speaking to. Our goal and what we're going to discuss at the strategic planning meeting is the next step to membership. So that is kind of the path ahead, is definitely, and we're hoping sooner than later. So they're great questions.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Michael.
Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. It sounds like great things are happening. Do you have a proposed budget for the next fiscal year? How much do you plan on spending for website maintenance? How much for promotion, selling t-shirts, anything like that?
Okay, you volunteering the t-shirts. Okay.
Yeah, that's also a good idea. I can, I can speak to it. So in terms of the research, again, that I'm pointing to, going to mention this, but our strategic planning is July 28th. So in preparation for that strategic planning, all those things will come into place and be discussed. So that's all kind of in the works in terms based on what we find with the research and what the strategic planning is, what's going to make sense in terms of our budget, what we're going to be doing. So that's all coming, but yeah, the t-shirts are definitely going to go into the strategic planning.
Okay, great. Okay, we should probably move on to the because I've realized too we're going to have to do appointment reappointment of directors after the ED report. So yeah, Jeremy, could you take the next item,
Yes, for
please?
sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I just want to thank you all for being here. I don't know where you are in Canada. I'm used to being in organizations that are just in Toronto or Ontario, and I getting used to speaking to across across the land. But it's very hot here in Toronto, so I just want to thank everyone for making it out, whatever the weather is outside. To introduce myself, my name is Jeremy Finkelstein, and I'm honored to be here and speak at our annual general meeting as the executive director. Here, says Andrew. I just kind of want to give a little bit of history, how I got into the position, which is fairly new. Initially, I saw when MCC did their initial meeting or event, and I attended after seeing on LinkedIn that it was happening. I was very excited as someone who's been in the mindfulness kind of, you always want to say industry, but mindfulness community, Canadian mindfulness community, and a number of organizations, the Center for Mindfulness Studies, which is in Toronto, but is a national organization, Mindfulness Every Day, Mindfulness Toronto, another professional mindfulness organization. When I saw a new mindfulness organization pop up, I actually non-mindfully reacted that I needed to right away contact Mindfulness Council of Canada after knowing I've met Jackie a long time ago and also Michelle Chaban, who was originally on the board. I said, oh, you have to let me on the board because I've been in mindfulness organizations and it's very hard to actually be a mindfulness organization, to actually practice mindfulness unless it's at the root of the organization. And it's very difficult. If anyone is familiar with the nonprofit sector, it is very difficult to practice mindfulness. There is good intention, but rarely can you actually push yourself to practice mindfulness that I've experienced in a number of mindfulness organizations. So I was very lucky. I contacted Michelle Chaban, who connected me with Jackie, and I was on the board, and I was very enthused and excited and got to meet all these people you have been introduced to on the board, as well as the advisors who've all become so helpful, and I've gotten to spend time with and learn about, and their connection, their very strong connections to mindfulness and their passion for mindfulness. So I don't want to repeat too much because Jackie kind of spoke to it, but the Center for Mindfulness Studies had to downsize after working there for 10 years. In July, I unfortunately lost my job as working in marketing operations and being a mindfulness facilitator for mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, mindfulness-based stress reduction, as well working as part of the charity, working with underserved populations, training professionals to work with underserved populations, and a lot of other things. And it was very heartbreaking. And it was a sign that mindfulness was changing in Toronto and in Canada. And yeah, I was sick for a month. It really kind of hit me in my nervous system. And luckily, I still had a connection that I was on the board of Mindfulness Council of Canada. So, Jackie, we might have different memories because you were mentioning that I asked to be the executive director, but actually you pitched the idea to me first. And at first I was like, I don't know if I could be the executive director. Sorry, Jackie, were you going to say something?
I was going to say that Michelle Chaban came to me and suggested it,
Oh,
that I
okay.
pitched it to you.
I see. Yeah. Okay. So that's great. Michelle Chaban, a lot of you know her. She's like, some call her the fairy godmother of mindfulness. I don't know if you've heard that. So she's been, she got me on to the board initially, and I learning here. She's kind of the person who got me to be ED or on that path. So, so yeah, I had to think about it. It's a big title, but it's a great, sounds pretty good. When you tell people you're the executive director of the Mindfulness Council of Canada, they send emails back to you. They'll meet with you, like talk to people all over the world. It's great. I highly recommend you just have a great name and call yourself the executive director. So, so they asked me, Jackie and Michael, who are the co-chairs, asked me to kind of present to see what my vision was. And I created my vision and what I saw, what we had to do. And I met with them and I said, what we have to do is stop completely everything we're doing. And this is, I don't know, it's like a Seinfeld episode. Like, what does a nonprofit have to do? Oh, we should stop completely. We should stop what we're doing. And they found it interesting, but really it was at the core of mindfulness. I said, we have to do the stop practice. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the stop practice. S is for stop. T is for take a breath. O is for observe your senses, observe your environment, both internal and external, and then you proceed. So how can we really be a mindfulness organization when the majority of nonprofit organizations, as I said, that I've experienced are not, they just don't have the luxury of stopping. It's just basically for survival. Mindfulness Council of Canada is fairly new, and I felt that we could do this, and we could stop, and we can really find out what the landscape is, what is happening for mindfulness providers, how do they feel, what do they want, what do they desire? And from that, we can really build something that's going to flourish, something that can have a value proposition that could make money to support. And mindfulness really needs to be promoted in this time. There's a big shift in mindfulness, and we're not just seeing this in Canada. We've reached out internationally, and we've seen people affected. We've seen organizations fall. We've seen people be very successful in terms of how they've shifted and navigated, making changes within how they offer mindfulness, how they communicate what they offer. So it was really time that we needed to listen to what people said mindfully. How do we really know what people want? I could have come in and just said, I think people need this and that, and they're gonna jump on this, but I didn't want to take that chance. I wanted this to be truly a mindful organization. So I just want to thank the board and the advisors who have been very patient practicing their mindfulness attitudes of patience, of compassion, beginner's mind. Everything was there. And really, mindfulness is what allows us to do what we do and to do things differently. So it's been, I just want to thank you, because being in mindfulness organizations and nonprofits, it is necessary for you to be non-mindful sometimes for you to survive. But if we're really going to make this something at our core to be mindfulness, then we have succeeded just on that. Luckily, we're reached our next steps, and today marks a special occasion where the research that we've done across Canada, that Vanessa Evans, who is the project lead, is going to present very, very soon, is kind of a joyous event for me, and very, something that we've worked very hard on. I'm very thankful for. And it's going to enable us to hear from you that we're not just finishing up with this research. We're going to give you the hard facts tonight, but we're really going to hear from you. This is kind of our last hurrah before we move into our report and move into our strategic planning to really define what Mindfulness Council of Canada is. So I'm really thankful. I appreciate your time, your ears, and yeah, just to come together on this night. And I'm hoping a long journey with you all, and that we can bring mindfulness back to as many people as we can with that. So I went a little bit on a tangent, but I really appreciate you listening to me. and being here. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jeremy. We have valued your slow, measured approach, and yes, it has taken some mindfulness, but I think it was very valuable and has produced. We had strategic planning meetings last May, which I was very grateful that the majority of the board showed up for those, and gave up 2 half days to do these. What we're now doing is really looking at the survey results and seeing how they match, and making sure we go forward with information that is more data driven as opposed to expert opinion, which is worth nothing sometimes. So data driven is much more valuable. So thank you for that. Rather than take questions about it, I'm going to just move on to the appointment issues, because at the AGMs, what we do is we appoint new directors. So when you're creating a board, the people that you invite on to the starting board are appointed, but they have to be reappointed at the first AGM that follows. So that's going to include 3 of our members, Isabel, Andrew, and Kathy, and in that order. So I'm going to turn to our board members and make sure that they're not that they are alert and not asleep and not meditating right now. Okay, and I'm going to ask the board members who are not Isabel to propose Isabel, please, for her place on the board. Can I have a proposal that Isabel is appointed for another 3 years? Chasm, thank you. Seconded. Paul, in favor? You're on for another 3 years, Isabel. Okay, thank you. Congratulations. Andrew Safer came next. Andrew, so you can't vote this time. So can someone please propose that Andrew is appointed? Isabel, thank you. Seconded from Chasm, and all in favor? Okay, thank you. So you're on for 3 years, Andrew. Welcome. Officially again, thank you. And Kathy. Kathy is our most recent addition to the board. Could somebody other than Kathy please propose that we accept Kathy on the board? Thank you, Michael. Seconded, Paul. All in favor? Thank you. That's you 3 who were appointed initially to the board last year or during the year. And then finally, Michael has to be reappointed because he was part of the founding board, but was a 2-year, because when you start your board, usually a couple of members are for 1 year, a couple of members are for 2 years, and we only had 5 members at that time. So actually there were 2 of us for 3 years, which was Paul and me. And that's so that they're staggered as people come off boards or come to the end of their time, which they can renew, and you can renew sometimes up to 3 times on a board. So Michael is up for reappointment because he was a 2-year appointment. So can I have a proposal to appoint Michael again for another 3 years, please? Yeah, okay, that's Paul has proposed it, Isabel has seconded it, and all in favor. Sherry Lee, I hope you're keeping up with this because I won't remember. Okay, thank you. And finally, Chasm was appointed for 1 year last year. So Chasm, I checked with you and you said you'd be up for another 3 years. So could somebody please propose Chasm? Thank you, Michael. Seconded, Andrew. In favor? Okay, thank you. Right. So our board members, as I say, we're up to 7. We are still looking for 3 more. And we have a board matrix, which means we look at geography and we look at your origins of your mindfulness practice. And not everybody on a board has to have a mindfulness background. Business and legal are also on the matrix. It's better if you have, but if you can also be maybe 2 of you on the board anyway come from a yoga background. As long as there is a connection, we would certainly entertain applications for those last 3 board member positions. Because we are a national entity, a national corporation, one thing to bear in mind is that your address, whether it's home address or work address, is published. So anyone can get it if they went into Corporations Canada website. That sometimes puts people off, but I just wanted to make sure that you understood that. that your address is on, but it can be business address or home address. Okay, all right. Okay. Right. Is there any other business from anybody wanting to put anything forward at the moment? Let me take a moment or two. Any other business? Thank you. Okay. And coming out of what we have shared with you, both in my report and in Jeremy's report, if you want to reflect for a moment or two, are there any questions arising from either reports? Anything at all? I can only see one batch of people. I think if you put your electronic hand up, though, even if you're on the other screen for me, it will bring you to my screen. Any other questions? All right.
It's
Jackie,
not a que- Oops, sorry.
right.
Yeah.
Did you want to go ahead, Isabel?
It's like it's not a question per se, but I just wanted to express how grateful I am to be part of this organization and all the great work that's been done by the team. That's all I
Thank
wanted
you,
to say.
Isabel. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make a comment that you know, re-listening to the mission and the value. Of course, I've read them, but to listen and hear your approach about, you know, self-awareness, self-empowerment, knowing that you made this, you know, right from the beginning of your organization, because I think that that is such the critical element of the offering that meets and connects at so many levels of what is needed, you know, in the world in which we live in today.
Oh, yeah. The issues are so intense today, and mindfulness practice helps so many people. And you can hear from people who you meet much later after they've taken an original training and repeated it. But I do think people need to repeat it. A one-off training isn't enough. And I'm talking for clients and facilitators and so on, that their lives really progress in a different trajectory, I think, once one really practices mindfulness consistently. And it is so empowering and health affirming as well. So I'm quite passionate about it, having seen how traditional medicine functioned up until I encountered mindfulness in probably 1999, I think is when I first heard about it. Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's there's also a protocol for the general public as well that is just being published this year. Okay, how about we take a 5 minute or 7 minute practice from Jeremy. Jeremy, you could guide us in a 5 to 7 minute practice and then give us a few moments to go and get a drink or something and come back to the screens ready for the town hall.
Yes, thank you, Jackie. So yeah, just to clarify, just in case you didn't see it in the email, that it was optional. People could come to the annual general meeting, the community town hall at 7 or both. So there will be people joining us at 7 o'clock. So that's why we're just kind of taking a break, giving you the option as I'll lead us into the practice. And just like Jackie said, if you'd like to get up, move around, get a glass of water, please do whatever is best for you for your well-being right now. Okay, so if you'd like to get into a comfortable posture, if you'd like to practice, just allowing the shoulders to go back and down. And then just taking the hands, resting them wherever is comfortable. Like placing the feet on the floor, toes facing the opposite wall if you're inside. And if you're comfortable with it, gently closing the eyes, or if it's more comfortable and safer for you to have eyes open, Just having a soft gaze downward, wherever is comfortable and safe. So to begin, just noticing this shift into practice from being in the meeting, listening, turning inward. And if it's comfortable and safe, just bringing attention to the body sitting here. Opening up to any and all sensations that are present. And if it's safer to focus on something external to the body, please do make this practice your own. This is for you. So I'll continue my guidance with the body, but just make it your own, whatever is safe for you. So opening up to, again, any and all sensations, noticing temperature, movement, tension or tightness, or whatever it is that you're experiencing. If there's nothing that you're noticing, just noticing that. Grounding yourself. And inviting you to bring the mindful attitude of curiosity from moment to moment to whatever is making itself available for you to observe. And just notice this shift from the doing mode to the being mode. Just giving you the opportunity just to be as you are. Now expanding the attention to notice that the body is breathing all on its own. Noticing these automatic movements from the body breathing. And so many of us have been practicing for many, many years. And I'll invite you to bring beginner's mind into your practice, as if this is the first time you've ever noticed your body breathing. Just noticing what comes up when you practice beginner's mind and what shows up for you. And just noting where the attention is now, if no longer on your focal point, whether internal or external, just being with where it is. And just responding by returning to your focal point, returning to beginner's mind, and with curiosity. And that when we do things for the first time, that curiosity is within it. So now, being with the present moment, wherever is comfortable and safe for you, that you may just be with your experience from moment to moment. Just noticing the attention, allowing it to be wherever it is. Noticing this moment. So staying wherever you're grounding the attention. Be guiding you to slowly come out of the practice, staying with the practice. And I'll invite you to expand your awareness by just sensing there's 37 of us here. And just expanding to just have the awareness that you're here in community. That everyone here has a passion for mindfulness, who's found mindfulness has improved their well-being. I should be so bold to assume that, but I invite you just to take in everyone here and your own journey in mindfulness. What brought you here for your own practice, and probably tens of thousands of people we've touched with the practice in this room from the people I know. So feeling free to open the eyes, feeling free to move or stretch the body. So you've been sitting and listening to us for a long time, and we'll continue. I appreciate you continuing to listen to us. And we're going to go into our community town halls. So I'm just going to do a little introduction. Oh, my pleasure, Hilton. I'm going to do a little introduction. Some of you are just coming in right now. Welcome. We just had our annual